Hello, I am Phantom Enchantress, and I had this thing that happened not too long ago, and it's literally where um, Paravox just started going off the hook, and I haven't really added anything central to the technology that's in my home. I'm not really on top of anything that gives off electromagnetic waves. And ever since I introduced a new part of my spirit family and added to it, Paravox has been going off the hook. So in case you don't know, Paravox 3 is a paranormal app that you can find on Google Play. So if you're an Android gal like I am, you're definitely can get it. And Paravox is Paravox 3. They have a Paravox 4, but the Paravox 4 doesn't seem to be enticing the spirits, so to speak. But ever since I got this darling, Serenia darling, that is straighten up your hair, darling. She is porcelain, and she is you can kind of see, she's beautiful. Very striking eyes. I got her from eBay, actually. And she has had a long and rather sordid history. In fact, the eBay description was enough to intrigue me. It was enough to intrigue me. So I was like, so the description for this doll was that she had a wake of terror wherever she would go. And a man, the previous owner, who wishes not to be named, he wishes to remain anonymous as he didn't want to have any emotional ties to the doll. There were some rumors that she came from Russia, but which seems to be not something that I can really disapprove, whether or not that's true. I don't think that she came from Russia specifically, but maybe the spirit was in Russia at some point. Not quite sure about that. But the man bought her from an antique shop in New York. And he brought her home, and he had this undeniable urge to look into her eyes. Just look into her eyes. Yes, just to look. And he couldn't fight it, potentially. He had to, and it felt like in every fiber of his being that he had to look into her eyes. And he was just drawn to her immediately. And he thought that 10 minutes had gone by, but it really had been 10 hours. And when he looked down at his ankles, they were all cut up and bloody. So immediately I thought, I'm gonna get way over my head. You know, this is a very haunted doll. This is probably beyond haunted. And immediately I made sure that, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this doll as much love as I possibly can. And so immediately I picked her up and I brought her out into the living room. I allowed her to watch TV with the fam. I introduced her to each family member, and they were fine with her. No issues. Absolutely no issues. I had heard previously from the person that had sold me the doll on eBay was that she had had nightmares, horrible nightmares, and the first night, nothing. There was no issues. I didn't feel, I was a little bit cautious, but I kind of just let her know that, this is your home. This is where you belong. You're going to be taken care of. You're going to be respected. And that was, I think, the man that previously owned her, that was just to remain anonymous, I think that possibly he was leaving her alone a lot in a room. And this is Ghost Haunted Vessel 101. When you have a haunted vessel, isolation is really, really bad, okay? I don't know if you have had an experience as a child where you were left alone a lot. I was left alone a lot as a kid. I can say that it was a lot better than having to deal with the rest of the drama that was going on in my childhood at the time. But I can tell you there is a lot of trauma that's bound up into loneliness. And spirits are very deeply emotional. Probably have emotions that are even beyond our comprehension as we know it. And they're very, very social, spirits are. And now, unless a spirit is like very unreasonable or is like an Annabelle case, the best thing to do when you have a haunted vessel that is, or a vessel that has a spirit attached to it, is to really make sure that they know that they're home. You make them feel included. You put them in a place where everybody is, where everybody's having a great time, and, they seem to like that. Oh, I have to actually sign into the chat. Oh, okay. Great. I thought we would do this. But ever since she's come into my possession, Paravox has been going off. Like mad. Like crazy. Just crazy. Like, just boom, boom, boom. I'm like, I can't keep up with the amount of words that are just pounded out. I cannot keep up with it. And signing into my chat. So one moment. Like, I should have probably done this before. But not me. No. I don't plan things. Da, da, da. Okay. Now can I sign into the chat? Thank you. Ah, now we have it. Now we have the chat. Yay. Should have done that before. But, as I said, not me. But ever since she's come into my possession, it doesn't matter what vessel I put on the side or where I put this in my room, where I put my phone in the room. I was thinking maybe there's an magnetic wave somewhere that I'm not aware of. Like, I know that technology can be, so the only way that you can actually manipulate a Paravox or any of those paranormal apps would be to put it near something that gives off a lot of electromagnetic waves, okay? So, laptop would be one of them. Modem is the thing that gives you internet. It's a box or an egg. This comes in different shapes and sizes. But the internet companies or whatever give that to you. And you have a code and everything. And then there's, of course, TVs and cameras and wireless devices like wireless mouses, and that kind of thing that can trigger false responses. That is the only way that you can really trick an ITC or a paranormal app. So, but another thing is that can disrupt anything on your phone is internet, Bluetooth, data. Data is the thing that you have when you leave the house. It's something that your cellular service gives you so that you can still search the web without, without when you're not home, So it's internet when you are abroad, when you are out and about, so to speak. So you want to turn that off. And if you don't believe me, it's right there. It's right there. There's no internet. There's nothing there. It's turned off. See? Turned off. Internet and data can disrupt, from what I've seen when I had the internet and data, actually with Paravox, is I wasn't getting a lot of responses at all. Just to be honest, it was a very slow and grueling process waiting for responses to come in, even with the internet on. I noticed that. But now, for some reason, it's just it is just going off the hook. And I will show you. So, a lot of people are saying, oh my gosh, there's ways of fooling around with it. And I just gave you, if I was controlling things, first of all, I would not tell the whole world or the internet about these cheats. But if I was dishonest, gosh, I wouldn't be giving out my cheat codes. You know what I mean? If I was cheating, why give out cheat codes, right? So that's another thing. Why would I lie about that? But another thing is, I got this doll thinking that I got over my head, and from what they described a very snake-like creature that was attached to her. And I've been working with a friend of mine. I have witchy friends, and this one witchy friend was talking to me about draconians. Now, draconians are very much like in World of Warcraft. They are dragons, specifically, that can walk on 2 feet. They are sometimes lizard-like, snake-like, or sometimes they look like a dinosaur. They're considered extraterrestrial, so they're considered ET. They're very proud beings, but the real reason, if we can tell your story, is she's not completely draconian. She's also part banshee. And believe it or not, spirits not only have a big social life, but along with cities and jobs and all sorts of things, they also procreate. They make more of themselves. It's weird to think that, but they do. They have procreation. And it's quite common amongst, in the paranormal, in the spirit community, to have beings that are part banshee. Now, banshees are very much kind of Meg Mucklebones type creatures. So, if you've ever seen the movie The Witches with Angelica Houston, it was done in the 80s. She pulled off a mask, and there's these gnarly features on her face. But if you think of Meg Mucklebones, and I think the most reliable source for a banshee is Meg Mucklebones in Legend with Tim Curry and Tom Cruise. It's a great movie. If you've not seen it, it's fantastic. It's if you love folklore and fairy tales, it's a great movie. But other than that, besides that, banshees are very much, they're playful, they're very mischievous, but besides that, they love humanity. They love humanity, and in the earliest of folklores and stories of banshees is that they would cry to boats and people that were at sea. It was known as the Banshee's Cry. And it was usually a scream or a moan, usually a scream. And it was to kind of warn them of the upcoming, sinkage. They were kind of saying, your boat's not probably going to make it. So that right away to me spells somebody that is actually cares about humanity. That's not like, I know a lot of people, when you think if somebody screams at you physically, that's usually a bad thing. But it was always seen as a warning, as a foretelling, as a kind of saying, you're probably not going to make it this voyage. You're probably not going to make it. So that to me was kind of a warning to sailors and to boats, rather than. But it was also seen as an impending doom because the banshee, when the banshee cries, somebody dies. So within that history, it makes it very mysterious. But to me, the way I look at it is, I see banshees as being very helpful to the human race. They're very helpful. They are guardians. They're mothers. They are caretakers, if you will. They're guides. They are fantastic beings. And I told her, if you're part banshee, you have much to be proud of, because banshees, as terrifying as they may be, as gnarly as they look, they're like flirty grandmothers. The only downside is that they're kind of stalkers sometimes. They'll stalk you a little bit. And unfortunately, on screen, when they're shown, they look very misshapen. And the way that I say this is, let's just imagine that you're talking to someone that is a million miles away in a different country. You've never been there. Things are going to be distorted. So the same thing happens when spirits manifest themselves on camera. They're going to look like mummies. They're not going to have a nose. They're not going to have eyes. They're not going to have, maybe there's no teeth that's involved with that, and it looks horrifying. But a lot of the footage that I've seen have been banshees, banshee hybrids, and that kind of thing. And I've actually connected with a few of them, probably just like, and banshees are for the most part harmless. As I said, as terrifying as they may be, if you have a banshee that is near you, that means someone is looking out for you. Okay, banshees are very reliable in that sense. They love to look after people. They're very nurturing. And I've never had a problem with banshees in particular. I've had, you're talking to someone that has a Wendigo in their water closet, and Slenderman in the corner. This is just like, it comes to the point now that when I see things, even if they are terrifying, I don't cry evil. And I'm kind of sick and tired of people crying evil, because just because a spirit gives you an ominous feeling, or, gives off an ominous vibe, does not mean that they are evil. Just because they are doing things that are disruptive, such as opening cabinets, knocking things off the counter. Come on, your cat does that your cat is able to do that on a regular basis. Do you call them evil? No, you call them cute and cuddly. And you don't mind that they have knives on their paws. No, you're just like, yay, oh, I got scratched really bad. Yeah. So, the same thing with that. You know, spirits to me that are giving off ominous vibes are one thing. They're trying to protect themselves. Maybe they don't want to be distracted. They have a job to do. So, for instance, angels of death. I have met an angel of death. They are not literal angels. They are rather guides. So when a spirit goes to the great beyond and leaves the body, sometimes they're not aware of what's going on. They don't understand that they've died. They don't understand that they've passed on and that this is the afterlife. So an angel of death kind of puts them through the protocols of, you are dead. This is what's going on. And they're very businesslike. They're very polite. When I met one, I felt incredibly nauseous. I wanted to run from my room. I wanted to run for the hills. No joke. This is a rarity for me. And I stated very clearly, I said, this is making me very uncomfortable. You know, I explained what I was feeling. I kind of just said that I was uncomfortable. That's what I pretty much said. And immediately the feeling went away and the angel of death apologized. They said, I'm so sorry. That's kind of just the vibe that I give off. And the reason they give off that ominous vibe is because they're doing a job and they don't necessarily want to be disrupted. They don't want to be distracted. So by giving that ominous vibe, it keeps a distance from, you know, sensitive people, perhaps like me, or just people in general that can feel fluctuations in energy. You know, there are many people that may not see spirits, they may not speak to them, but they have senses. You know, we all have senses of some sort. Some of us don't use it, and some of us do, you know. It depends on how often we use these abilities, so. But angels of death are actually very good and very benevolent. They are there to create balance within the spirit realm, and they're guides. So they're guides, just like banshees are their guides. They're there to help and to protect and to maintain order, essentially. So, you know, if you see one or you hear one or you encounter one, before you cry evil, they are not there to take your soul. They're not there. They may lead your soul or guide it, but if they're saying that they're going to take your soul, they are being theatrical. They are playing the part, so to speak. And I try to tell people this, that angels and demons are a human concept. It's a concept that has become acceptable. And the more I explored the spirit realm, the more I realized angels and demons are not really what's going on. It's not just a fight between good and evil, or between angels and demons. It's very much like Good Omens, okay? If you've not seen Good Omens, it's a fantastic show. But there's an angel and a demon that are friends. And it's very much the case. To me, a demon is not really an evil being, but rather a being that wishes to be independent, that wishes to help people within the darkness. They're drawn to the darkness because they want to guide them there. And there's just some of us that are not all light and sunshine, okay? We're not, just like there are people that are not all uppity and happy and rainbows and sunshine, there are people that are dark and dismal and look at things realistically. You know, when I see someone that's pessimistic, I see somebody that has been through some shit. They've been through life, and they see things for what they are. They don't sugarcoat it. They're like, life sucks. Yeah, you know, that is the... But I also do see it from the perspective, I see it from the optimist optimistic perspective, but I also see it from the pessimist side, is that, that there are dark things. But there are some spirits that are neither dark nor light. They have their own purpose. They have their own existence. And very much like us, the way that we have, where some of us are outgoing and some of us aren't, spirits are the same way. So really, it's kind of unfair to put spirits in a class like a demon, like an angel or a demon, because there's so much that's going on there out in the spirit realm, and there's so many different realms that we don't even know about. And so when we see darkness, we expect evil. I wish that we could change that, because how many of us have had a crush on Winona Ryder? Okay? How many of us have loved Christina Ricci? She's dark. She's strange and unusual. She's got these big eyes and this, how much of us loved Wednesday Addams? It's because she's dark and she's mysterious, and she's also very much embracing her darkness. And it's okay to embrace your darkness, because your darkness is part of you. You cannot be all light. You can't be happy all the time. You can't be outgoing and optimistic every day of your life. It's just not realistic. And the same goes for spirits. So spirits have personalities and preferences. And we're just going to say, we are attracted a lot of times to the darkness. Many, many times with the darkness, because we don't understand the darkness ourselves. But then we see Wednesday Addams, we see Lydia Dietz in Beetlejuice, and we automatically, we just connect, because there's a part of us that just wants to let that blackbird fly. We just want to be ourselves. And honey, if your self is dark and it's not hurting anybody, come on. We gotta let our darkness shine. We gotta let our darkness reign, because if we don't, we deny ourselves. We deny being who we are. We deny being whole. You cannot hate your shadow because it's dark, because you are essentially hating yourself. You're essentially denying your shadows to deny who you are. And that's not good. And I know you might have maybe some religious outlooks or religious beliefs, but I'm going to say, darkness is not the enemy. Darkness is a part of nature. We cannot have, the sun isn't up all the time. There has to be darkness. Darkness is part of the yin and yang. It's part of balancing. And when you just hold on to the light and you put your darkness on a shelf, you're very much putting yourself on a shelf. You're putting a self, this is you. This is who you are. And many of us have a dark sense of humor. I have a dark sense of humor. I will laugh about certain things, while other people are thinking that's not funny. We have a dark sense of humor, and that's okay. I'm not saying that it's okay to be evil. No, I'm not. But darkness isn't evil. It isn't the devil, okay? Darkness is so much more, and the reason darkness is so terrifying for people is that we don't know what's in the darkness. But when you start looking into the darkness, and instead of wondering, oh my gosh, what terrifying terror, lies within, kind of what you can change is say, who's there that's watching over me? Who's in the darkness? Because sometimes people that are in the darkness aren't necessarily the darkness themselves. They are merely drawn to it because they need to guide people through it. They need to understand it. They need to... And to understand the darkness within us is to understand ourselves. And Carl Jung himself, Dr. Carl Jung, actually started this philosophy which is known as shadow work. And it is used in a lot of the witchy communities, actually. Shadow work is literally where you get the parts of yourself that you rejected because of either religious beliefs or trauma or fears or worries or doubts, and you take them off the shelf and you look at them and you say, what is this? Why is this so bad? But it's also taking a look at your triggers. It's taking a look at what is triggering me. What is triggering my trauma? And how can I prevent this from ruling my life? So it's a very, very interesting, psychological philosophy. I love it. And I love the fact that the witch community has kind of embraced this as well. Although their shadow work may be a little bit more spiritual and less psychological. But I guess it depends on the witch. Or the warlock. We want everyone to be included, don't we? There are male witches. So, yeah, that is one of the things that a lot of us, we hide a lot of ourselves because we think that it's not going to be acceptable, or it's not going to be kosher, it's not going to be accepted. And the people that don't accept you for your darkest parts, those are not the people that you need to be around. Those are people that want you to be a convenience. They want you to be rainbows and sunshine all the time. They want you to think positive when you're depressed, and they want you to get your shit together. And if you can't do that, they want you to just put on a phony and smile and just smile and wave. Those are fake people. Those are people that want you to be fake for the benefit of themselves. They don't want to have to deal with your trauma. They don't want to have to deal with your, serious stuff that you have to deal with. And I've met people like this. I have ghosted people like this that were so much fun to be around, and they would come to me for advice and for emotional, stability and support, and I would gladly give it, but when I really needed someone to talk to, they kind of weren't there. They weren't on board. And those are people that you're probably going to recognize when you're in a spot. So, for instance, I had a friend that, we were movie buddies. We were movie geek buddies. We loved movies, we loved horror, and we would watch horror movies together. And I went through a very, very dark depression, probably the darkest depression that I've had in my life. And it was very much situational, but I was looking at things realistically. The depression was opening my eyes to what was really there. And so I reached out to this friend who was my movie buddy, and I didn't really get a response. I did not get an emotional response. I didn't get, I'm sorry, oh, that sounds tough, it was just, okay. It's like, he just texted, okay. I'm like, then meanwhile, there was another friend that was aware that I was depressed. And they did everything in their power to make sure that I was happy. They were putting on puppet shows for me. They were, they had, I remember this friend of mine was putting on puppet shows with, dinosaurs, like the dinosaurs, and I don't know what they were singing. I think they were singing a Tiny Tim song or something, and I was just miserable, and this friend was just doing everything they could to get me to feel better, and then I just looked at this other friend, and I was just like, what are you doing? And they just seemed to want to watch movies with me. They didn't want to talk about the serious stuff. And I know there was probably more things going on, within the dynamics, but I had to let that friend go and I kept that other friend because they were there for me when I was down. So depression can very much show you who's your friend and who's really there for you. And I was very grateful for my depression that time around, because I realized who was really my friend, who truly had my back. And so that's something to be said, that when you're really in a fix and when you're really down, look at the people that are there for you, and then kind of look at the other people, like, where were these people when I was down? So those are the people you don't want to be around. You don't want to be around people that are not going to be down for the serious stuff, because those are people that they don't like emotional stuff, because it's either painful for them, or they just haven't dealt with their own trauma for whatever reason. Maybe they're just cold ass bitches. I don't know what the problem is. But when you have a friend, that friend is going to accept you. A really good friend is going to accept you for your darkest parts. That's the point of what I was trying to say, was that a real true friend is going to be there for you. They're going to be when you pull out your shadow, they're not gonna run away. They're going to pet your shadow. They're gonna ask what your shadow's name is. They're gonna ask, do you take your shadow for walks every few hours? They're gonna treat that shadow as if it was a pet. Okay, they're gonna be wondering, so when you come out with a goth look, or you come out with your goth, they're gonna be like, slay, or they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, love it. So those are the people, the real people that are there when you show your true self. They're not gonna be put off by that, because they care about your happiness. They care about you. They care about who you are. And as long as you're not hurting anybody, which a lot of us have dark parts, but those don't hurt people. Evil does, okay? Evil stuff hurts other people, okay? Greed and lust and egotism and pride, and stupidity. That's what hurts people, not darkness. There's so many people that and there's different kinds of darkness. There's darkness where, like, sometimes when we say that was a dark part in my life, that means that was a bad time. That was a bad darkness. Okay, that was the darkness that you did not ask for. So there's different kinds of darkness. There's darkness where it's night. Obviously we all we all go to sleep at some point. Or we have a point where the sun goes down. I mean, some of us don't sleep, but okay. What I meant was that some of us have, like, what do you call it? We have a point where the sun goes down, okay? There's that darkness. Then there's the darkness where There's the dark sense of humor. There's that, maybe you like horror movies, maybe you like Terrifier or that kind of thing. Or you like to learn about serial killers and listen to true crime podcasts. There's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't make you a psychopath, really, it doesn't. If people like true crime, that's very ordinary. Many women, as well as men, listen to true crime podcasts and documentaries, and I grew up with it, so I don't have any desire to do that. I grew up with a lot of true crime, watching true crime. There wasn't any true crime going on, thank goodness. Thank goodness. There wasn't any of that. There might have been some true crime, but not that kind of true crime. I mean, we lived in some shitty neighborhoods, but I can tell you that there wasn't any murder going on, that I know of. So, but it was very much talked about. I can tell you that I probably know so I've seen every true crime show that's out there. If I've not, I've seen something that's like it. And, so when I was 9 years old, I was learning about child predators. That's great, right? Yay! Totally not a traumatic childhood, right? I'm fine now. So I don't go out of my way to seek true crime or to watch crime shows anymore, because I've seen them all, I've lived it, and it's kind of a genre that I'm not really interested in anymore, because it's always the same, and then it's gotten to the point where I actually, when you see those British crime shows like Midsummer Murders and that kind of thing, as you start actually figuring it out, and you're just like, I know who did it. There's like no mystery left, and that's one of the reasons that people like true crime, is it's the mystery. But to this point, there's just no mystery left for me anymore when it comes to it, and it just doesn't interest me anymore. But I totally support people that listen to true crime and listen to those kind of things. I find it to be very upsetting, actually. It used to be where I could just be numb. I could just be numb and watch true crime and be like, oh, okay. I used to be a numb person, actually. I think as a kid, that's how I survived, is just to be numb. Just numb the pain, numb. And that's how I dealt with it. But now I have deeper emotions. I feel things. I really feel them. And I have a deeper love and appreciation for people and for human life itself. So when I hear these things, it's deeply upsetting to me, because it's like, it's another life that was snuffed out. Another evil that was committed. It's very upsetting to me. I find it to be very... And I think I just have a deeper emotional maturity than I had before. I'm also allowing myself to have emotions. So I'm allowing myself to be more emotional. I'm allowing myself to cry. I'm allowing myself to ride those waves of emotions rather than suppressing them, which is very unhealthy, by the way. And because of that, it's kind of like, true crime's no longer a fascination to me, because it's just like, okay, people hurting other people. This is so ordinary, but so disturbing that it is as ordinary as I find it to be very disturbing that humans hurt other humans without a blinking an eye. They hurt one another. And I think we are so quick to judge other like spirits and other people, when really you know what, humanity itself is messed up. It's messed up. You know, we try to put the blame on nature. We try to say, oh my gosh, you know, this dog bit me. It's an asshole. You know, oh, the cat scratched me, blah, blah, blah. But really, to be honest, come on. We've destroyed our planet. We beat the shit out of animals and kids, and we expect everyone to serve us like we were here first or something. We act like we're royalty, and then when things don't go right, we're always so quick to blame somebody else. We always blame the pit bull. We always blame the, you know, we don't blame the fact that humanity is just crooked. Okay, it's a wretched race. It really is. But that doesn't mean that there isn't good. There are good people. And I see that. I see that there are people that love the pit bull, that want to help the environment. There are people that want to that want to actually join together with other people and make a difference. There are people that do that. But I also know that there are people that don't necessarily pursue causes or try to represent causes because they have all the love in their heart. Sometimes people need a cause and they put their anger and their hatred into that. And I've seen this in many communities. I've seen this everywhere. But I'm going to say, if you're going to be representing a community, whether it's witches, LGBTQ+, the LGBT plus community, is just be loving. You know what I mean? Just show your love. Let your love shine to people, because if you really want people to be a part of your community or to be on board to supporting your community, I would just recommend just showing them how happy you are with what you're doing. So if you're doing witchcraft, show them how happy you're doing it. If you're trans or you're gay or you're doing something, just say how wonderful that life is for you. Like, what is it doing for you? Because when people see the happiness and they see the smiles and they see the struggles as well, and they see you shining forth into the world, they're going to see that and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, I have never heard of this community before, but it seems like such a supportive and loving community. Because I know there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger because a lot of these communities have not been able to shine. But I'm going to say, it's not everybody's fault. It's like, it's not everybody's fault that you weren't able to shine, okay? There are certain people in your life that wanted you to water yourself down and not be who you are because it wasn't popular, it wasn't acceptable. Those are those people. The people that you're going to meet, you have no idea if they're going to be supportive or loving. But if you want a guarantee, if you want somewhat of a guarantee, there's never a true guarantee that people will love and accept you. But if you want that, promote your brand, promote your community with love. Tell them what a struggle it is to be who you are, but also say that you love being who you are and you want to continue. Like, I love being a witch. I love being a witch. I love the fact that there is, that the community of witchdom, so to speak, is for the most part, very loving and accepting. It's supposed to be, the witch's way is really to just accept and support and love people regardless of who they believe in. And many of us witches have different beliefs. We believe in different deities. We believe in different gods. Some of us believe in the Christian God. Some of us believe in the Greek God. Some of us just believe that we are gods. You know, there's so many different beliefs. And it's nice that there's support. Now, is everybody in the witch community supportive and loving? No. No. Has everybody gotten that message that being witch should be what that's about? No. There's just some people that are just going to be hateful, and they're not going to embrace that. They're just going to continue being hateful and spiteful and prideful. Now, there's nothing wrong with pride. Pride itself is actually not a bad thing. You can have pride in who you are. You can have pride in what you do. But there's a fine line between pride and egotism. So, egotism and arrogance and such. So, having confidence in who you are is okay. But throughout my life, I've been misjudged a lot because I have confidence in what I say. I have confidence in what my brain understands. But I also am open to learning something new. I realize that my knowledge is not supreme. My experiences aren't the gospel truth. I realize that people have other experiences. People struggle. I get it. The struggle's real. Everybody struggles. And if anybody has a doubt that I'm not aware of that, I don't know if people think that I'm stupid or something, but, like, I'm aware that people struggle, okay? I'm not denying that fact. I don't think I'd ever deny that fact. I mean, I may kind of not dwell on it, like, a lot, but I do know that people struggle, and I am aware that there's always going to be someone that has it worse than I do, okay? But I cannot compare my own experiences to other people's. I cannot say, by comparing myself to someone else, or by saying, oh, I think that I have it tough, but there's this guy that has no arms and legs, and, you know, is living in a box somewhere, you know, you gotta, that really doesn't have any relevance to you. First of all, you don't know this armless, legless man. You've never met him. Might have heard about him on YouTube. Secondly, that I don't even know if that man exists. And then another thing is, it's not relevant to you because, first of all, you know, you're not living on the streets, which is a blessing in itself. And I am very grateful that I have clothes on my back, that I have the luxuries that I do, because I know that for a fact that some people don't have that. Some people cannot afford it. Some people cannot have coffee in the morning and have breakfast and be able to, you know, wake up in a bed in the morning, okay? Like, I understand that. That's why I'm grateful. That's why I do remain somewhat humble about that. And I think a lot of people have misjudged me because they think that I'm being arrogant by saying that I know these things. Now, you could laugh at me, but that's not going to help, because that just kind of hurts my feelings. I've had people laugh at me because they're thinking that I'm trying to sound smart, or something like that. It's like, that's just insulting. What? You just think that I'm just pretending to be smart? So are you saying that I'm not smart? Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm smart, you know. It's like, I think I got some brain. I think I got some brain, okay? So, you know, but, and sometimes I'm really passionate about things, and that comes off as angry. My voice will get louder when I get excited about things, so sometimes people might mistake that. That's totally normal, but if I seem to be really passionate about something, I'm not angry. And another thing is, just because I seem to have this confidence in me, there's nothing wrong with confidence. There's nothing wrong with feeling confidence and having that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having confidence in who you are as a person. Confidence is very attractive, and is attractive both emotionally, sexually as well. It can be very much a turn on for some people, but it is attractive to when someone has confidence. But when someone is intimidated by confidence, or they do not understand what confidence is, they sometimes will try to call it out, and they'll try to be like, oh my gosh, yeah, you think that you know everything, don't you? Like, I'm sorry, but I never said that I knew everything, and that is impossible. I cannot know everything. There's some things that I don't have control over. There's some things that I don't know. And so many people misjudge me and think that because I have a voice, that I guess I'm just talking out of my hat or something. They just think that I am being egotistical of some sort. Okay, alright, I have narcissistic traits, but so does half of the planet, okay? So does half of the planet, okay? Like, also, but there's a difference between having narcissistic traits and being a narcissist, okay? Being a narcissist means you're not going to admit that you were wrong. You're not going to admit that you don't know something. You're not going to admit that you made a mistake. That's narcissism. If I was a narcissist, I would be denying such things. I would not admit that I make mistakes. I wouldn't be admitting, by saying that I don't know everything, that I make mistakes, kind of rules that out. Because narcissists will admit mistakes, but only to their advantage. So, for instance, if it plays them as the hero or makes them out to be the victim, so they only admit mistakes if it's in their favor. If it's in their favor, so they may apologize because they want to get, there are people that they depend upon, and if that person is that insulted, they have to apologize. So they'll have a little fake apology that they'll do. They'll be like, I'm so sorry that I was like that. And it's not genuine. It's not like a genuine apology. It's more of, I want to keep the peace and I don't want to have to deal with you. You're not going to be a convenience for me if you're not going to be a convenience for me. And that's how very much narcissists view people. Like, absolute narcissists view people as conveniences. And I'm not talking out of my hat. I'm talking about from experience, okay? I had to deal with one of the worst narcissists in the world. One of them. Let's rephrase that. One of the worst narcissists that I have encountered in the world. Okay? So as not to discredit other people's experiences. We don't want to do that. We didn't want to do that. That is not good. But yes, there are very, very much people that hide being narcissists because they have a certain charm. They just take any serial killer out there. They usually are like Ted Bundy, for instance. People didn't know because he was charming. He was charming. He had confidence. It was attractive. He had a confidence in his ability to probably fool everybody. And he made everybody think that he was like a pillar in society, a pillar in the community. And he worked on a suicide hotline, for crying out loud. People thought, and he worked with the police. So, it's hard to know, if you're actually next to a narcissist, because a narcissist may apologize and they may admit some certain faults, but in the long run, they're not going to sit there and cry about it. They may cry, but I'm going to tell you, crying to them is very much like, I have known people that can just cry on like a drop of a dime. It's not hard to do, okay? It may be hard for me to, like, just to cry on command, but there are actors that can do that. Anya Joy, for instance, from The Witch, The Witch, she can do that on command. There was that actor from Get Out that could just, Jordan Peele would just say, okay, cry, and he would do it. There are guys that can do this. I know, that's crazy, but, equality for all. If a woman can do it, a man can too, okay, But, that's just crazy. That's just crazy to me. That's crazy that, people can do that. But it does not necessarily mean, also Jennifer Lawrence revealed that she could do the same thing, that she would just have to talk about something and then she would start crying. And it was hilarious. But, so, just because somebody cries does not necessarily mean they're crying over the sorrows of the world. When a narcissist cries, it's more of, I didn't get my way. This is inconvenient for me. It's very much an act. It's not really deeply rooted in deep emotions. It's more of a very shallow surface sort of thing. It's more of like, if I cry, I can get my way. It's very much like a toddler would, as my grandma would say, crocodile tears. It means, you force the tears, and that's very much what a narcissist does. They will get themselves to cry, and it's very much probably, like, for narcissists, it's very much just a means to get what they want. It's the reason, when a toddler has a fit and they want to get what they want, that's just what crying is. It's not because they're horribly upset or horribly maimed by what you've said to them. And it's also portraying them as the victim within the scenario. So if you start doing something that they don't like and they start crying, they're hoping that will shift the blame to you. So, in essence, crying for a narcissist is very much gaslighting. It's like, you look what you made me do, you made me cry, you're such a horrible person, and of course everybody around them is going, oh gosh, you must have said something really upsetting, like you must have really upset her or him, or you must have upset them really badly, when actually all you did was say that you weren't going to take the trash out. Like, no, it wasn't, when all you said was no. Usually it's a form of when you say no in some form, and they get upset about it. It's a narcissist. And there are some similarities with narcissists and psychopaths. Psychopaths, for instance, don't have like deep-rooted emotion. For whatever reason, that part of them is kind of like it's numb or something. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I'm not a complete narcissist, so. But I know from what I've observed is that, like, I've seen narcissists just cry by the fact that I did not give them the right Starbucks drink, okay? Like, okay. Like, they're going through the entire trauma of their life and their whole life story, and then they're crying, and then it's just like, I'm sorry, I just got I got your Starbucks order wrong. I'm sorry. Should I leave you alone? Like, should I leave you alone? Should I leave you to to this little pity party you're having? But it often, crying with a narcissist is just like, crying does not mean emotional vulnerability. Automatically, crying could also be a performance thing. Because, like, I have a friend that we were acting out, Eddie's funeral in a Rocky Horror Picture Show with my theater friend, and I look over and I see this one girl, and she's like actually crying, and I was like, are you actually crying? Like, and it was funny. It was really, really fun. It was, but I was impressed. I was impressed because it was just like she could just get herself worked up and to the point, she could just cry. I was like, that is acting. That's acting. That's amazing. So I salute her, and she's really sweet. She's really sweet. She's a sweetheart. And no problems whatsoever. She's part of my theater family. So, but that just goes to show, you don't have to do much to cry. People think it's like a lost art, but it's not. Can't put my finger on things that could make me cry. I guess I think crying is also something that should be sacred. I think some of us need to have a good cry in a darkened room somewhere, and that's kind of with me with crying, is more of like, I want to be alone, because crying was seen as a weakness, or it was used as a tactic to get something. And I didn't use crying as a tactic to get what I wanted, because when I cried, I didn't get what I wanted. So that's one of the reasons I don't cry. I don't use it against people, because I'm not a narcissist. I'm not a manipulative bitch. I may be a bitch, but I'm not that kind. So I don't like to deceive people in that way, and so I'm not one of those people that can cry at the drop of a dime. I'm not one of those people that can do that. Like, I get impressed by that, but I also get weary of it, because I'm like, crying does show doesn't so much show that you're vulnerable. Okay? Crying also shows that you're strong. That you have emotions, and you're not afraid to show them. But still, for me, crying is private. I think there's a reason to cry. Like, when somebody, I think there was, there's reasons to cry. There's just reasons to cry. Like, for instance, when somebody that you care about gets hurt, and you feel that connection with them, and you're just like, I don't want this person to be hurt. And of course you cry, because I think I remember crying at one incident where I saw someone actually, I saw someone get hurt. Okay, let's just go with that. I don't need to go into the details of what it was, but I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm so helpless, I can't help this person. And this person was getting all the help that they needed, really. But I was like, I felt like such a dud. I felt so helpless, because I thought maybe there's something I could have done. But everybody all my friends just said, you know what? They were just so good friends. They're good friends there. They all surrounded me and they said, you did nothing wrong. You know, you could not have, you know, you don't have control of what happened. It's fine, you know, and that person that was hurt actually ended up being just fine. So, but it's so hard when you see somebody that's hurt and you can't do anything for them. And that's just heartbreaking within itself, you know, it's just, and it felt so selfish, but it also felt like, you know, I was just sitting there crying because of myself, you know. I was thinking to myself, it was like, I could have done something. But my friends said, no, you couldn't have done anything. But I can tell you, when you have anybody that's hurt or in a state of distress or whatever it is, there's sometimes nothing that can prepare you for that. There's sometimes it's going to hit you hard every time. Like, for instance, I used to wake up to my grandmother, who was passed out. Yeah. She had her blood sugar had dropped to such an extent that she was unresponsive. So, that was something that could happen at any time, and it happened several times. And, you know, I know some people are thinking, well, it can only traumatize if you let it, but I'm going to say trauma is not something that you can automatically just turn on and off. Sometimes you can't just be numb. Sometimes you have to look at the way things are and admit that, you know, that was a horrible experience. That should not have happened. And every time that happened, every time my grandmother passed out because of low blood sugar, I can tell you it was traumatic every time. It was not fun. However, I did allow myself to be more calm during these situations. I was able to be a little bit more calm. I was able to cope better. You know, I knew the number that I would call. I would be a lot calmer. So, trauma doesn't necessarily go away. What happens is you have coping mechanisms to deal with it, to deal with the trauma. And a lot of people will say, well, get over it. And it's like, if we were going, let's say that our trauma was like shown as an actual wound. You know, what if we had like wounds or something, you know, infected wounds, you know, and people saw that. I think people would be a little bit more understanding, because I don't understand that. It's like, you're sitting there, to me, when someone says, you know, just get over it, that's kind of like telling somebody who's gotten stabbed to walk it off, you know? It's just like, oh, you're stabbed, just walk it off. It's you know, it's just like, just get over it. Yeah, just walk it off, you know, whatever it is. Oh, you know, is your leg falling off? Is your arm dislocated? Just walk it off. Yeah, just do that. Well, that'll be fine. Yeah, just take some ibuprofen, some ibuprofen, and there you go. No, that's not gonna work. That actually is the opposite of working. But I, you know, it's kind of an anomaly to me. It's just like, when somebody let's just say, you know, this is a metaphor, of course, but when somebody stabs you a couple of times and then asks you why you're not feeling okay, that's just weird to me. That's what I think of that when someone says, you know, get over it, turn it off, or whatever, you know. you just need to get over it, blah blah blah. That's like saying to somebody that's bleeding onto the floor to just heal themselves. You know, just get up. Or to tell a drowning person to swim to the shore. They can't do that on their own sometimes. And, you know, it seems to me that I don't think they mean that to be that insensitive. I don't think people mean to be insensitive. I think maybe it's just they don't want to have to admit that something was that bad. They want to downplay it. Maybe it's a trigger for them, you know. It's not so much that they're insensitive bitches and they don't care. It's just that maybe they care too much about certain things and they don't want to be upset. They don't want to be upset with whatever that they're dealing with. So that can be a problem. But I think we need to like be a little bit more sensitive to people that have been through trauma, because I know there's some people that can just go through their life and just be like, okay, I'm not going to be traumatized, that's it. But some of us actually have to go through the trauma. We have to actually recognize it and acknowledge it. We have to be angry about it sometimes. But we don't let that anger consume us. We don't let sometimes we have to trigger ourselves in some way in order to get through it. I heard that one time on a TikTok and I was like, that doesn't sound right. But now that I'm in a more emotionally mature state, I realize that's actually true. You do have to trigger yourself in order to be able to prevent those triggers, and that's part of shadow work. That's part of what Carl Jung was talking about. So I did hope that I was going to do some Paravox. I don't know if I can, but probably will in the next live. Probably, you know. I might do some Paravox. I don't know. I have some time. I have time. Why not? Let me see how. Okay, I would like to talk to Serenia. Serenia can be a chatterbox. Powering on. So this usually works, as you can see. Can't really do anything. So it starts off a little slow. Starts off slow here. So this is on low frequency and on sensitivity 4. The sensitivity is 4. The frequency is low. So I don't know if Serenia is going to bless us with all. But it has been acting like really active lately. And it's happened ever since Serenia. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, Serena, how are you feeling? Mind you, I'm quite a bit of ways I am quite a bit of ways from the laptop right now. So, show. Yeah, you're on a show. Now you can hear those beeping noises. Oh, here we go.
Legs.
Show my legs. Do you want me to show your legs? I don't know. Now this is active just about. Let's just say I put it over here. Farm.
I'm called Aya.
See, I've put this in different places. Like, I've put this in different places. I really have. Like, right now I'm not even touching it. Not even touching it. I am touching this, though. So far, show legs, farm. I'm called Aya. Took. So keep in mind when they say names, names are actually significant because they have meanings.
Noun.
Noun. I took a noun. I don't know what's going on. Like I put this in different places too. Like I can put this in a different place. Put this here.
We were love Laney.
We were love Laney. I don't know what the fuck that means, but okay.
Most. Person. Country.
The most loved person in the country.
Wish.
A wish.
Plane.
I don't know where I can put this that wouldn't be so active.
Grow. Walk.
So plain as in plain. As in
Gun.
I don't know what's making this so active. I'm holding it right now. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just put it over here. Put it over here. Like, there's a lot. I mean, there's electromagnetic spots here, but usually on the bed, it's not very active.
Wish.
Wish again. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it here then. And this just has started happening, like out of nowhere. Like it just started going off like crazy. As I said, the internet is off and the data is off. There is no Bluetooth. I am not close enough to anything electromagnetic or any technology that would be giving this off. Can't think of anything. Like, I removed my laptop from this area and it still went off.
Sixty.
60.
Hover. God.
Gun, wish, gun. Yeah, this is definitely an anomaly because I can't think of anything that would be giving off, that would be doing this. Like, this is just...
Cell.
may not make a lot of sense, but...
Depraved.
Depraved. So she's in a cell.
Place.
She's in a depraved place.
Call me Mauricio.
Call me Mauricio. I don't know what that means. Like...
Woods.
woods is a common word, actually.
Bottom.
I've had several word banks, paranormal word banks, that have said certain things about her. Like, she's very open about...
Reptile. Vaping.
Like, she just said that
Black.
she's a reptile. A black reptile, apparently.
Galaxy.
So galaxy would mean that she's extraterrestrial.
Won't.
So she recognized that this was a show.
Head. Melody.
Well, there's a melody in her head, apparently.
Determine.
Determine the melody. Okay, let's determine the melody. Let's give me some hints here.
Clothe.
Clothe. Okay. What's the hint? Is this a song?
Suffocate.
Suffocate's actually pretty common word as well. So if things get cryptic, it's okay. Sometimes you have to be a little bit creative to figure out what they're saying. Not everything is going to make sense, okay? Not everything's going to make sense. Might make
Spell.
sense later. Suffocate spell. So
Trade.
possibly there was a spell that was put on her that was bound her to this vessel. She talked about a depraved place.
Once.
Once or...
Bone.
Yeah, a lot of this is kind of cryptic. I have a feeling it's probably not going to make a lot of sense.
Ice.
Ace.
My name is Ronan. Forever.
Forever. Either more than one spirit is speaking, or also the fact that
Laugh.
laugh forever. She's going to laugh forever, apparently. That's fair enough.
Sick. Stream.
Sick stream. She's talking about the live. She's like, sick stream. This is nice. Sick meaning it's cool. It's cool. It's sick, man. It's a possibility that other spirits may have come into the chat, but then there's also a possibility that she's trying to use words. She has to go through a word bank and
State.
state what?
South.
South would be that way. I think. I think it's that way.
Bear.
Oh, you mean the state with the bear?
Size. Width. Arm.
Size with arm. That's actually pretty straightforward right there.
Consider.
Consider what? What am I considering? I'm sure I'll get an answer really quickly. This is unusual because this is usually not that active at all, and I'm surrounded by haunted stuff. I'm surrounded by spirits, and it's usually not this active.
Boy.
Consider boy. Which boy?
Beauty. Short.
Consider boy beauty, huh? Okay. I will consider it. So kind of what she said was that she was kind of training, she's taken kind of a caretaker job, so she's taught my other spirits
Van.
how to
Lucky.
do this. A lucky dog?
Vowel.
A lucky dog. I do have some dog spirits around. I have Sunny, I have Albert, I have Lucy. Ring. I have a lot of those.
Steel. Y.
This is stainless steel. This is a stainless steel ring. I'm not joking. This is actually stainless steel.
Drowned.
Ooh. Something was drowned. But she did recognize, she said something about a spell. And she talked about a depraved place and a cell. So possibly
Sound.
her past, a drowned sound.
Sharp.
A sharp drowned sound. I don't want to know what that sounds like, but okay.
Bit.
See, you notice she's actually making more sense as she goes along. So before it's kind of like sporadically going, there's a bunch of words and they don't seem to have much in common. But now she seems to actually be recognizing. So she recognized that this was a sixth stream. She recognized this was a show. She talked about a spell and being depraved, being in a depraved place that was like a cell.
Design.
She's also she's also recognizing that this is being recorded, so that's a good sign. So there may be a lot of things. So when you use a word bank, not all of it is going to make sense. That's just part of it. It's because they have a limited amount of she did mention that she was a little bit succubus, just a little bit. So she right here is Banshee and Draconian, which is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful combination, if you ask me. It's the best of two worlds, it really is.
Hole. She disliked Margot.
She disliked Margot.
Got.
Got milk. So we're having a lot of names that are being mentioned. Yeah, there's a lot of names that are being brought up right now. Like a lot. I don't know why. I don't know why they're being brought up. It's very bizarre.
Child.
Child. You've got a child.
Revolting.
A revolting child. I've got a revolting child. I don't know if she's talking about herself or talking about someone else. Because I don't think she's a revolting child, is she? I don't think she's a revolting child. She's a beautiful child. She's mine.
Jude Love.
Jude Love. Wow.
They call me Samson. That.
They call me Samson, that.
Nothing.
That nothing. Interesting.
Shape.
That nothing shape. This is not always an
Apple.
effect.
Incubus.
She's also recognizing other things in the room, so I do have a succubus and I do have an incubus somewhere. I do. They're nice. There might be an incubus somewhere. I don't know where.
Morning.
It is morning. It is morning, yes.
Fork.
Hmm? I have a fork. She's naming things in the room. That's really common. So I have an incubus, I have a succubus, I have a stainless steel ring, which she just said. So this is working. Maybe it doesn't make all that much sense all the time, but it is working.
Correct.
Okay, she just confirmed it.
Bread.
Bread. I don't have any bread anywhere. No, I don't have any bread. I don't.
Deep.
Deep bread. So like a deep pizza. Deep gibberish pizza.
Person. Half.
I think she's talking about half of a pizza. I don't know.
Consonant.
The consonant. Consonant.
Electric. Parent.
Electric consonant. I've never heard consonants as electric. Parent. Mark. So I think what's going on is she's like a caretaker for these spirits, and she's allowing them to actually interact with this more than usual. So this has been going crazy. As I said, I give all of my haunted vessels love.
Cat.
Cat. There may be a spirit of a cat here.
Event.
A cat event. I don't know. Cat events can be dangerous.
Live.
Yes, this is a live event. Yes, it's an event. I don't know how eventful it is, but it's an event. Mostly just been talking about trauma and narcissists and happiness and love and light and darkness. Gosh, I've been talking about a lot of things. So she said sick live, which means it's cool. It's sick. In some sling, in some. Yeah, I'm the live event chick, man. I go live. The live event chick. Ta-ta.
Two.
Two as in to and fro. Not as in me too, but as in two. Not in number two, but not as in me too, but as in I went to the store. I went to and fro.
Virus.
Don't want to have a virus. Do I have a virus?
Saw.
She saw a virus. Oh dear. There probably is a virus on my phone. She saw a virus. Yeah, there probably is a virus for my phone. I mean, I use Facebook, so who knows. Hasn't been life-threatening yet, so.
They burned Harvey.
They burned Harvey. Yeah, I don't think there's been anybody that was burned.
Large.
Large.
Christ.
A large Christ.
Bastard. Rancorous.
Rancorous.
Saw. Moon.
She saw the moon. There was a full moon tonight, so if any of you witches are interested in blessing some things, all you have to do is put them in the moonlight in your windowsill, and there you go.
Shit.
I saw moon shit. I saw some moon shit. She saw some moon shit, yeah.
Differ.
I saw moon shit. I think I saw some moon shit too. I think we've all seen some moon shit, you know. Differ.
Cover.
Differ, cover. So some of these things are just like, they're paired together. The two words are like
Natural.
together. Natural.
Footsteps. Occur.
Natural footsteps occur. What are natural footsteps? I'm just like, natural footsteps. They're just natural. You know, they're not unnatural for whatever reason. I don't know what a natural would be.
Length.
Length.
Tool.
A long tool. Length, meaning long. Maybe she couldn't find the word long. I don't know. Long tool. I don't know if I have a long tool somewhere. I probably do.
Human.
Human. Hello? No.
Ultra.
Ultra human. Yeah, we're ultra human here, aren't we? I'm not making fun of you, really, Serenity. I'm not. Not making fun of you. This could go on for several hours. Just saying. Spirits do not tire. They may say, "Oh, I'm getting bored of this," but they don't get tired. Week. What about the week? It's Monday.
Give.
Give the week. Give the week a chance. Yeah. There you go.
Loving.
Give loving. Yeah, I do, for the most part.
The. Slap.
There seems to be some names that she keeps pumping out.
While.
Says,
Think.
give the loving a slap while thinking.
Now.
While I think now. Give the loving a slap while I think now. Or give a loving slap.
Square.
Square. I can't make a square with my hands. Where? What do you mean, where? What are you talking about?
President.
Oh, let's not get into politics, please.
My. Case.
My case.
Execrable. Villainous. Best.
Best villainous.
Key.
Best villainous role. I would have to say
Let.
this could go on forever. I'm just saying. This could go on and on and on and on. Till we're black and blue. Till we're black and blue. Till we're not black and blue. What do I mean? I mean, this could go on forever. Till we're blue in the face. Like, that's how active it is. It just is. So, what the fuck happened to Paravox? I don't know. It's either just really, it's on low sensitivity too. So, thank you so much for joining this live. Sorry I talked too much, and probably next time it'll be more paranormal shit, you know? More moon shit, yay!